Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. I am excited because we have the author of Done, Dr. Renee Galloway. And I'm excited because we're going to talk about just how to really cross things off your list because I know that's a challenge for everybody. So, Dr. Renee, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Janet, for inviting me. I am excited because this topic just makes my heart beat. It really, really does. I am so passionate about people setting and meeting their goals.
And I could tell by just looking at the book because it's really, like you said, it's a guide to prioritize, plan, and perform to accomplish your goals. So, what made you just decide to write this book, this guide?
Oftentimes, I would be asked, every time I look up, you're doing something different. And I said, well, maybe the tools, tips, and resources that I'm using would be helpful in a guide. That's what made me actually write the book so that it could just be a hands-on tool that I could just hand out or people can purchase in order to, as I say, prioritize, plan, and perform to accomplish our goals.
And what
Yeah.
I like And what I like about this is a book. I mean, and it's a good read, but also it's a book you need like a pencil or a pen because it's like you want us to really truly get to work. So my first question is to you is, there's that percentage that people we make all these goals, but then there's also that percentage of the goals that we actually accomplish. So what are we doing wrong? Like we got the goals, we got the list, the new years, the new resolution, this, that, and the other. We got it posted on the wall. But what are we doing that we're not like we look at that list and maybe 6 months, sometimes at the end of the year, we're like, why didn't I get anything done? So what do you think that is, Dr. Renee?
What I think is happening is people aren't using the three tenets that I include in that book. Is it a priority? We can't do all things. We can do a lot of things, but we can't do everything. So we got to set our priorities. Then we have to have a plan. It's not, wishing is not a plan. And a lot of times we wish something would happen, but we just don't do anything about, oh boy, I really wish I lose a couple pounds. I really wish, I could go on vacation. I really wish. But you got to have a plan and a strategy. And then perform says you got to do something about it. You got to actually take action. And one of the things that I often say is we have to ask ourselves is, am I interested or committed? They are very, very different. Because, like I said about weight loss, I'm interested in losing a couple of pounds, but am I committed to going to the store and staying out of the snack aisle, or going to the store and buying those vegetables and getting up early to go to the gym or join that Zumba class or even just take a walk? That's the difference between being interested and committed. Even to a vacation. I'm interested in a vacation, but have I set up the separate account where the money will actually come out so that I can take that vacation? And with social media being, so prevalent in everyone's lives, we step into a chapter of people's lives and we wish we were doing some of the things that they're doing, but we have no idea what went on in previous chapters and what's going to go on in subsequent chapters. And so I think, we can't just look at what people were doing. We need to know how they accomplished and got to where they are.
I like what you said. Are you interested or are you committed?
Yeah.
And I think that's where people get a little fuzzy. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in eating healthy. I'm interested in exercise. I'm interested in doing that. But then they don't realize there's a commitment. Because one of the things I was interested in, but now I'm committed to is just learning, a different language. I'm learning Spanish. Now, sometimes I do the lessons, Dr. Renee, and I may not get anything right, but each and every day I commit so much time just to do it. Because I said, at least, okay, I know a little bit more yesterday than I did today. So at least, even if I cannot speak fluently, at least if I see a word or I see a phrase, I can figure out, okay, that's what it is. So I like what you said, the interested, committed. Because it's even like sometimes people say, oh, I want to run a marathon. That's commitment because people just don't get out there and run a 5K. That's a commitment. So you already shared a few strategies on what we can do. But for someone who they're just figuring out, trying to get from interested to committed, like, is there anything that you could share with them, even if it's just, and I'm telling everyone who's watching and listening, sometimes you got to start with one thing. I understand we got a lot of stuff we want to do, but I like what you said about prioritizing because I was sharing with a group of people, we were talking about the balanced life. And I said, sometimes we think it's supposed to be 50-50. There are going to be times when your priority is going to be work. But then there's other times when your child is getting ready to graduate from high school, and then you got the prom, this, that, the other, then you got to get them ready for college, and that's going to be your priority. So, how do we just like kind of figure out, okay, you know what? I'm listening to Dr. Renee. I'm going to get the book, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to buy the book. Um, what should I do? Like I'm getting overwhelmed already, Doc.
Okay, well, I would say I want to suggest some tools and some resources because it's not enough just for me to say these words. I want to give some takeaways as well that someone might be able to help them organize their lives because I specialize in productivity and productivity is deeply personal. So as you said, someone may have high school children, on their way to college and proms and graduations and all those types of things, whereas someone else may say, they don't quite apply. That doesn't quite apply to me. So I have jotted down, I did a little research before our interview to come up with some takeaways, some productivity type apps. So I have here listed to-do list apps. So I'm going in categories. So organizing your week and your day can be, of course, on paper, but if you want to, most of us are tethered to our smart devices anyway.
True.
So an
That's
app
true.
that could be more efficient for writing your to-do list is one called Monday.com or Todoist, Todoist. And those are two popular options. But I say, if you're looking for a to-do list app, just do some research. How about a calendar app? I use my calendar app, but there's also Microsoft and Apple has options as well. I put every appointment in my calendar, and I also do not schedule additional appointments until I've checked my calendar. Again, because my phone's typically not too far away, so I can check so that that'll minimize overbooking or overlapping schedule. Note-taking apps. Boy, I really use my note in my phone, but Microsoft OneNote is an option, but Apple Notes and Google Keep could also work for someone. Whenever I'm doing I also bake, so when I'm doing a recipe and I'm testing, I'll write notes in my phone and keep those handy in case of, like, for a baking time for a particular recipe. So I find those helpful as well. Uh, Read It Later app. This will assist with that. I have read this article, but don't have time right now. It also ensures that you can find it later. You ever see a really good article, you don't have time to read it, go back later, and now you can't find it. I've not used it, but the app Pocket is getting very good reviews. And I also use, oh boy, a password manager app. Now, who doesn't spend too much time trying to remember and changing passwords because we can't remember them? Now, personally, I use LastPass, but 1Password is another great option. So I think because we're just so busy with so many things on our plate, we have to find those tools, tips, and resources that are going to best equip us to live our best life and a productive life. Not just, saying it, but actually walking it out. And again, in the book, which is Prioritize, Plan, and Perform, we got to take that all important action step. It's not enough just to say it. What are we going to do about it so that
Mm,
we can say that it's done, as in the
mm.
title of the book?
Oh, well, Dr. Renee, you've given so many wonderful resources, and you're right. Sometimes we do need those resources in order to be productive. I mean, just the calendar app alone, and you're right because, and I'm like that too. It's like people, it's like, well, can you do this, that, and the other? And I'll have to grab my phone and like, wait a minute, let me check first. because like you said, you don't want to really overcommit, and you really need to help people be more productive, and that's one way you do it as well. And I mean, just all of them, the passwords, because we try, we really try. I mean, I went to one site and they said, well, it needs to be like 13 characters, 26. I'm like, that's the alphabet. 26 characters is the alphabet. So thank you for that. Now, you did mention something, which is my next question. How do you stay organized? Because you are a trainer, a consultant, and author, but you also have your business where you give those wonderful sweets. If you're not following Dr. Renee on social media, then once you do, your mouth is just going to water every time you see her with one of those delicious things she's created. So, how do you balance your time?
I use a lot of these apps,
Okay.
but you cannot be overly dependent on them, because there was one app that I was using to focus, and it was Focus to Do. And I found that it was way too time consuming for me, and it wasn't quite accomplishing what I had intended it to. And so you have to be very, very careful, to do what works for you. As I mentioned before, productivity is deeply, deeply personal, because all of our lives look very, very different. And so don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to shift. And all importantly, don't be afraid to say no. Sometimes we overcommit. Anyone ever had someone say to them, can you help me with? Oh, sure, I can help you. And once you get the details, all you can think is, oh my goodness, I really should have said, let me think about it, let me pray about it. Or you know what? It's an excellent idea, but I just can't commit to that right now. And that is one of the things that I think hinders our productivity most, is over committing to things that we really either aren't interested in or just don't have time for, because you don't have to be interested in everybody else's projects. You don't. So if someone comes to you and you don't want to do it, and you don't know anyone an explanation, and let's not hold people to it. Well, why don't you want to do it? Well, I thought you had time, and you, I'm just going to leave it at no, or sometimes not right now. I just can't commit to that right now. How about if you circle back in, 30 days? I can revisit that for you, and we'll see then. Because oftentimes when 30 days has passed, they've even forgotten about it, moved on, or else it's just not that important.
And I'm so glad you said about the no, Dr. Renee, because years ago I learned, someone asked me, oh, Janet, I want you to be a part of my committee. And I didn't say yes, because in my mind I started thinking about how they were with another project we were working on for this organization we both belonged to. I said, you had us up late. We were doing things like the night before instead of planning out how to stuff the bags and all of this. And I said, unfortunately, at this time, I am not available. I don't have it, but I will be at the event. So if you want me to greet people at the front door or just kind of help, people, move along, I can do all of that. But I am not available to be on your committee. Oh my God. That was like a life-changing moment for me, because it was like I started thinking, wait a minute, she had us up at midnight trying to stuff envelopes and stuff bags. No, I can't do that. So, and that's good. And that's also, and like what you said, you don't necessarily have to give an explanation. A no is a no.
It
So,
is. It is. What I like to say, and I've heard it before, no is a complete sentence.
that's right.
It,
That
it, it
is.
really is. And we need to respect each other in that way. If you say that you can't, don't press somebody for an explanation on why they can't be a part of something like that. And I applaud you for recognizing and knowing that, I can remember my past experience. And oftentimes we don't use past experiences to govern our experiences going forward. And when we know, we know.
And you're right. You're right, Dr. Renee. So a lot of times now it's like people will come to me and it's like, okay, I remember. Oh, yeah, no, no. Right now, my schedule, doesn't allow me to take on something like that.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Renee, it has been a pleasure once again to talk to you. So I would love for you to give your information on how people can connect with you, but also get a copy of your book. See, everybody, I got a copy of the book. Just holding it up for those of you who may be listening, there'll be links to everything, but please share.
Yes, yes. So, Sweet Inspirations LLC is my company, and there you will find some videos. You'll find some other information, some free downloads of the first chapter of the book, and that's at Sweet Inspirations with an S LLC.com. And there's also a link to my sweet treats on that same website. If you'll see it under sweets, if you're interested in some palate pleasing sweet treats. So again, Dr. Renee Galloway, the author of Done, Prioritize, Plan, and Perform to Accomplish Your Goals. And you'll also see I'm part of an anthology with 17 other women where I write the first chapter, which is called Power Up Superwomen, Stories of Courage and Empowerment. So if you go on there, you'll be able to see a little bit about that as well. But again, Janet, thank you so much for always thinking of me and giving me an opportunity and a platform to share the passion of my heart, and that is being done, prioritize, plan, and perform to accomplish your goals.
And thank you again, Dr. Renee. And I just wanted to share this with everyone. And this is on the little cute little bookmark I got, and it says, "Yes, you can say done." So I'm
Yeah,
going to end with that. And thank you again, Dr. Renee, for joining us today.
thank you.